Hi everyone, so in this video we are going to be completing this foldable with dividing fractions. So, take a look. Alright. So here's an example of when of a problem that might involve dividing fractions. And it's basically going to be the same thing as multiplication, just with one extra step. Alright, so I've got 2 1/3 divided by 2/5. The first step is to change all of the mixed numbers into improper fractions. And then if there are any whole numbers, you would also change those to fractions. So just like we did with multiplying, when you have a mixed number or a whole number, you want to start by making that into an improper fraction. So in this problem, we have one mixed number. We're going to go ahead and change that to an improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And then we're going to keep the denominator at 3, so 7 over 3. You're doing around the world or Texas, however you want to think of that. All right, after we change our improper fractions into, our mixed numbers into improper fractions, then we have a new problem, 7/3 divided by 2/5. And you want to keep the first fraction the same. So that 7/3 is going to stay 7/3. The third step is to change the division sign to a multiplication sign. So I'm going to keep the 7/3 and change from division to multiplication. All right, and then the next step is to flip the second fraction, which is basically finding the reciprocal. And basically by flip, I just mean you're going to switch the two numbers in the second fraction. So you had 2 over 5, you're going to switch that to 5 over 2. It's like you're turning it upside down. And then the last step is to multiply the two fractions and then simplify if necessary. So we're going to do this, now that this is a multiplication problem, we know how to do that. 7 times 5 is 35, 3 times 2 is 6. And then we want to simplify it or change it into a mixed number. So if I divide 6 into 35, 6 will go into 35 5 times with a remainder of 5. So my answer is 5 is my whole number, 5, the remainder becomes the numerator, and then my denominator is still 6. 5 and 5, 6. All right, so that's just one problem. We want to make sure you understand it. So out to the side somewhere, we're going to go ahead and do a new problem. Let's say we have, how about 3 2/5? And we want to divide that by, let's say, 2. Okay? All right, so the first step, just like before, is to change this into an improper fraction. So around the world, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 becomes 17 over 5. I also want to change many whole numbers into fractions, so this becomes 2 over 1. So now I have divided by 2 over 1. All right, and then the next step is to keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. You may have heard the music video. There's a fun little song that goes with this that helps you remember. Also, hopefully you've seen the song that we created, dividing fractions, ain't no lie, flip the second one and multiply. That's what you're doing here. So we're going to keep the first one, 17 over 5. We're going to change to multiplication. We're going to flip the second fraction. So instead of 2 over 1, now this becomes 1 over 2. Then we multiply. So we flip the second one and multiply. 17 times 1 is 17. 5 times 2 is 10. And then our last step is always to simplify if we can. This is improper, so we're going to go ahead and divide it. 10 into 17 goes 1 time with a remainder of 7. So my new number is 1 is my whole number. 7, the remainder, becomes my numerator, and then I'm going to keep the denominator at 10. All right, so very similar to multiplication, except for this keep, change, flip, or flipping the second one and multiply. That's what you have to do. When you flip it, remember that's called the reciprocal. All right, and then down here at the bottom, there's one little trick I want to show you. Now, some people pick this up pretty quickly and love it and use it as a shortcut to help simplify. If this, though, doesn't make any sense to you, or if it's confusing, or if you just prefer it to do the other way, that's completely fine. Some people like it because they think it saves them some steps. Some people don't like it, and that's okay too. You're going to get the correct answer either way you do it. It's just a kind of a different way to look at it. All right, the trick we're going to look at is called cross-reducing. And cross-reducing allows you to simplify both fractions in step 4. This was step 4 here. After you've already flipped it, you can cross-reduce before you multiply them. So it's after you've changed it to multiplication, but before you actually do the multiplication, you can cross-reduce. You want to know, or you want to remember, that cross-reducing is only going to be done diagonally, not horizontally. All right, so here's how it works. We have two fractions here. We're already at the multiplication part of the problem. 4 over 9, 1 over 8. And normally we would just multiply straight across and then simplify. Well, cross-reducing says, well, let's try to simplify before we multiply. And so we're going to look at the numbers that are diagonal from each other and see if they can be simplified. So imagine if this were, instead of 4/9, this were 4/8, and we were trying to simplify that fraction. We would decide, oh yeah, 4 and 8, they're both divisible by 4. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go ahead and divide them by 4. When I divide 4 by 4, I get 1 here, and I get 2 here. And then if I look at this diagonally, 1 and 9, those don't simplify, so they just stay the same. Now I go ahead and multiply like I would have done earlier. 1 times 1 is 1. 9 times 2 is 18. That doesn't simplify anymore, and so I'm done with my problem, 118. Now, what would have happened had I not cross-reduced? Okay, if I hadn't used the trick, let's see how it would look. I would have multiplied 4 times 1 and gotten 4, and I would have multiplied 9 times 8 and gotten 72. Then I would have had to simplify this fraction. And so I would have looked at this and said, yes, those are both even numbers. I can divide by 2. So that gives me 2 here and 36 on bottom. And then I would say, oh wait, I can still simplify this again because these are still both even. So I divide by 2 again. And 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 36 divided by 2 is 18. Okay, notice these answers are the same. I did this the way we've been doing, and it's fine if you want to keep doing it that way. But it did require this extra step because I had to simplify it twice in order to get to the 1 over 18. Whereas when I cross-reduce, I did it all up front, all at the beginning. And so I was able to just multiply. I got to work with smaller numbers, whereas here I had some bigger numbers. The 72 down here is much larger than an 18. So again, it's kind of up to you, whatever you prefer to do. If you get the hang of this and want to use it, it's really helpful. If not, you don't have to. Again, you can always just multiply and then simplify at the end. Okay, so that's dividing fractions. Remember, you're changing mixed numbers and whole numbers into improper fractions first. Keep, change, flip when you're dividing, only when you're dividing. And then you multiply like you normally would. All right, again, dividing fractions, ain't no lie. What do? Flip the second one and multiply. What's that called when you flip it? A reciprocal. All right, thanks a lot. See you in class.